Hi everyone, welcome to the W and Cercle. My name is Sarah Story. I am a DJ and broadcaster for the BBC at Radio 1.
And I'm Frank McWeeny. I'm a journalist and documentary maker.
And today, as you all know, we are here joined by Gordo. Hello.
What's up?
Now, I can already see that you've been getting fully stuck in at ADE because you were dancing in a shop window yesterday with Moshak shopping.
I was shopping.
You were shopping?
Yeah, he was DJing.
But then you were dancing.
Yeah,
I
was
seen
bopping.
a video.
Nah, it was lit.
It looked really fun. I was told by someone that you were walking past with some shopping bags and you'd seen this party and you just chucked the bags and went straight to the party.
Yeah, I was shopping, and then Nico hit me and was like, "Yo, Mochak's DJing down the street from you." So I was pulled up. Friends support friends.
Yeah. It looked really good. I'm really gutted that I missed it, actually, because there was a lot of people outside. Apparently, they only announced it like an hour before and it was packed. But yeah, it was fun.
Think they knew I was coming.
They knew you were coming.
So we've got a lot to cover. Obviously, you've had a very successful career as Carnage, and you're now Gordo, and we're going to get into the whole thing for the next hour. But I just thought we'd rewind to sort of the very beginning and your roots specifically. As a young kid, growing up in Guatemala, can you just maybe share with us like what you aspired to, what that young kid was aspiring to growing up?
So I was born in Washington D.C. There's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet regarding like where I'm from, like all this stuff. But like, just because even in like my own team, there's just like people don't know still. It's like 'cause there's just a lot of weird things that I bitch at them about. But I was born in D.C. and when I was like two years old, I moved to Guatemala, and then I stayed in Guatemala till I was like 8 or 9, and then I moved back to D.C. But my family is from Nicaragua. My blood is Nicaraguan. I don't have Guatemalan blood, but I was raised there and like basically showed everything. My first bike, like my first time going to McDonald's, shit just like normal, like where you get raised at and stuff. And that was Guatemala. So like, if you Google me, it says I'm Guatemalan, but I'm really not. I'm Nicaraguan.
Well, good, we can set the record straight.
Yeah. People get mad, yo. People get mad.
And what did you want to do when you grew up back then? Did you have aspirations?
No, I was a kid. I was like basically just like, my aspiration was going outside and playing soccer, or like going and like we used to go to Domino's on Sundays after church. That was my aspiration, going to get Domino's on Sundays.
Mine still is.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like just normal everyday stuff. I was I think I wanted to play soccer. I wanted to be a dirt bike rider. I used to ride a 50. I used to race when I was in Guatemala when I was a kid, like 7, 8. But really, it wasn't really that much. It was just kind of soccer or just hang out, go do stuff around the neighborhood. It wasn't like I knew like if I wanted to be a firefighter. That wasn't until like I moved back to America.
Well, let's get to that then. You're moving back to the US as an 8-year-old. What was sort of your first experiences there moving back? What was it like, and what was going through your mind back then?
I didn't know English. So when I moved to America, I had to learn English. So I got put back a year in school. And I had to go to speech class. So I know a lot of you might second language be English, which I'm exactly like you guys. Like the fucked up thing about it is that I learned English and then I started losing Spanish. So like then that's why people like think the last thing someone would think is that my Spanish is my first language. But if you ever just like listen to me shit, like I stutter and I forget words a lot. Just because I'm like trying to like either I'm thinking in Spanish or talking in English or talking in Spanish and thinking in Spanish or it's like but yeah, so going back, I mean, I didn't really grow up eating like candies and shit. Like, so like when I moved to America, I got introduced to junk food, and that's when I started gaining weight as a child when I moved to America. And I got introduced to like fucking. You guys remember supersized? There was like supersized fries at McDonald's. Like that was only in America, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Like really, like just like shit like that. But like ordering a fucking Pizza Hut, for me, and like drinking like, eating cereals and like Lucky Charms and shit like that. Like, yeah, like, so like that was an introduction. That was a big part of my life. It's been my weight. So like, it was very interesting. Like just like going into America and how shit the food is in America. And that goes back into my life now, traveling the world. Like I just kind of see the difference, But yeah, like I didn't really know English. I had to learn English. Got introduced to hanging out with like my family who like living in America. Because when in Guatemala, I was only living with my aunt and uncle, and my mom would come and visit frequently. But got introduced to that, and my aunt is trans, so I used to grow up around a lot of like gay people or trans all the time, and like it was 5 women living in my family. It's like my mom, my grandma, my aunties, and I was around women all the time. And like back then, like my aunties and my mom were still young, like 30s, early 30s. So like they were going out still getting lit, and like living life. So like they would like, back in the day, a lot of like, I mean, still to the day, like a lot, like the whole voguing scene, and like they used to like dance to like house music. So I used to like grew up like it was either like they were playing like either like some R&B, Jagged Edge, Boys to Men, or it was like It's Time for the Percolator and like that type of shit, or it would be like No Doubt and like a lot of like Gwen Stefani, like that whole like early early 2000s,
Yeah.
late 90s, early 2000s. So that's when I got introduced to like kind of like pop culture in Guatemala. I didn't know any of that. It wasn't music. My family wasn't like, my uncle was in the army and my aunt was like a lawyer. So it was very serious. But then I got, did that for a bit. And then growing up, when I became a teenager, I was like 13, 14. I started playing football, American football. And then my aunt and uncle, who I was raised with in Guatemala, got their citizenship and moved to America. And I moved back in with them. I lived with my mom, and then I moved back with my aunt and uncle. And then, yeah, that's kind of like when I was like a teenager now and living in Maryland. And then I moved to the country, I think 8th grade in middle school. And that's when I moved up north. And up north, I lived like I was raised in like really, really, really redneck America, like really, really, like in 8th grade. I remember like kids handing out like KKK pamphlets in middle school, like joking around type shit. Like in that part of Maryland, it's very, very country. So like, hearing the N-word was like a joke upon friends, like not in like, and it's crazy because if you ask another black person or a person of my minority that lives in like a very, very countryside of America, like in the Midwest or in the South or anything, you meet like different types of like very white people. Like you meet like the people that are racist, and then you meet like the white people that like are naive and don't know it. So like they use it like they'll say the N-word like jokingly, and that they're not racist, but they're just naive and like think it's funny type shit, like, so it's like funny. It's a very different type of world. So like going into middle school and going into high school, that's when I got into music, because I was in the countryside. I was either playing football or I had no friends there. So I would just stay at home and I would just get and like fuck around on like my FL Studio back then, which I started FL Studio 6. So that was, I think now we're at 20. So like, that was when that time and that time, I feel like a lot of, like rap producers, that's where I started from, producing was, you kind of either start making rap beats or you're like a rapper, and of course I wanted to be a rapper. So like, I got into, where it really all started was I got into this beef in my neighborhood, in my little town in Walkersville. Never talked about this, so you guys are hearing this first. And we both had MySpaces back then, and like I had my page, they had their page, and like we made like disses over like like Neo instrumentals or so, like some weak ass shit, like I remember like, and like I would make like songs about man, like just like funny joke songs that I would upload on MySpace so I could go to school and like, you know, show girls and shit. I don't know like what it was like,
Yeah.
but like it was like, you know, it wasn't easy. Anyone could make a MySpace like music page at that time, and you could just upload songs. So like we got into like this real beef with like these other neighborhood down the street, and like I had my beef, and like it got to the point like there was like fights and shit. It was like serious, and yeah, and I was like, oh man, I was like I can kind of do this. It's kind of cool. And then that's how it started, and that's when. You know, those first 5 years of doing it, you're just so garbage. Like, I was garbage.
Are the other guys from the other MySpace page still doing it? Or did they give up?
Hell no. Like, you go back to your Facebook now, everyone from back home is either pregnant, they got families, they're crackheads. Like, you don't know, you don't want to look at none of that.
Yeah.
Like, but it was interesting. Like, that's how it kind of started for me. And then it got to the point where I got pretty serious with it. I found like one of my homies who was like a rapper, and me and him like started making my like mixtapes, and I would go to the movie theaters and go sell mixtapes. I would drive. I found a homie who had a car, and he would drive me to Baltimore. I would get like 100, 200 mixtapes printed with the cover and everything, and I would go to school and I'd sell them for like $3. And I would make these mixtapes with all these artists that I found online. And I like became like in my head at that point, I wanted to become like a DJ Khaled, DJ Drama kind of character where I would like make these mixtapes and I would host them. And I was like hosting them. So that was like the start of DJ Carnage. And I was just like hosting mixtapes. I would go to the McDonald's and like sell and sell these mixtapes and shit, and sell them, and I would, you know, make $50-$60 at night, and like it would be a win. You know, you're 17 years old with like $100.
It's a lot of money.
That's lit.
Yeah.
It's a lot. That's a lot. You could do a lot with $100.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of really hustled it that way, and then I just started getting bigger in my little town, and you know, we're talking about when I was like 16 years old, and I was like, I had befriended G-Eazy on MySpace, and like, you know, I was like the first guy to really like, because a really important thing to my life and who I am is that like I've always been really early on music, you know, I think I always, and my team and everyone jokes around, and it's funny because like I've had A&R positions at major labels, like holler at me, be like, yo, can you do like some stuff for us? Can you help us out? And that was my whole thing from the beginning, from the mixtape thing, right? I wanted to host. I wanted to be the guy to find new artists. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it got to the point where like that's all I was doing. I was making beats, but they weren't that fire, you know. So like I was making beats. I was like, what else could I do to like? And I was like, all right, cool. I'll just find all these like young artists and kind of like put them on, and put them on my mixtape. Like I thought I was like somebody important, and yeah, I was doing these things like G-Eazy back in the day, you know. There's so many names that I discovered back in the day that like you can go back to on the internet and find if I'm lying, you know. But like Bryce Vine, does anyone know Bryce Vine? He had that song, it was really big. I found him back in the day, and he was in this group called Crush Club, and they went to Berkeley College. And I made a song with G-Eazy, and Bryce Vine later found it out. 10 years later, he came out with the #1 smash. There was like so many little things that happened back in the day that like I wish one day I'm gonna sit down and really go through it all. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean that was kind of like the basic when I moved to America, and like that was like the 10 years of like growing up as a teenager and like trying to figure out music. Yeah, you know, I think it got pretty serious for me when I was still living at home. I dropped out of high school because school just wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. My family was really upset about that. If you're Hispanic, you know, like not a lot of people like go to school, like go to college. So like if you have a kid that just drops out, that's just like an epic failure. But like I was kind of just like, I want to do the music thing.
Did it kind of drive you more to succeed because you felt maybe guilty because you did drop out of school? Was that a driving force?
My driving force is I get reminded so much of all the sacrifices my family made. And you know, obviously, yeah, I can't talk all this shit and be like, Mom, I'm gonna fucking make it in music and then not do it. I'm just not that type of guy, personally, as a human. But you know, luckily, I think when I was 19, I was still making all these beats at home and stuff, and I finally had made a song, and I got like my first big placement, which was the placement that I was able to get my first publishing check with, which my managers at that time had gotten me, which was
More than $100.
it was actually, you know, I'm the type of guy that like I don't like to hide around numbers and stuff like that because it doesn't do anything to help people who want to be in my position, and I feel like I'm just like, I have a different aspect. Like when I try to teach people and try to help other friends out or people just ask for advice or something, I'm very blunt because I feel like that's the best way to get into someone's mind other than trying to toss like, hey, they paid me really well. Like the fuck does that mean? Like how much they pay you? Like help me understand what goal I'm trying to get to, you know? But yeah, that first song was, I produced Big Spender for Theophilus London and A$AP Rocky, and that was kind of the beginning of the Carnage trap sounding thing because I was trying to find a sound. I think if it goes to the most defining moment to figure out my sound when I was a young kid and starting off was that song, Theophilus London and A$AP Rocky.
Let's talk about some of your career highlights then. Some of your biggest achievements as Carnage. What are you most proud of out of everything?
I mean, I think I hit being up early on a lot of these guys growing up, like the beginning of this Carnage era. I think that was some of my proudest. I'm not that type of guy to like scream and be bragging about like, oh, I was the first one to do this with this guy, the first this one, because it's there, you know. I think it's corny when people brag about stuff like that. But I mean, you know, What Do You Want with Lil Uzi, and that came out in 2015, I think. You know, Little Yachty, Mason 97, Little Pump's I Shine, Migos, Bricks. Those were all artists that ended up blowing the fuck up, and I was kind of the first ones to do a record with them. That became big records, musically. But obviously there's so much, like it's 10 years of stuff that just happened, and it happened so fast for me. But like definitely, music is the first thing that comes to my mind of something that I'm proud of, but there's so many things that we could talk about that would take too long. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what was the catalyst that was the change of direction when you went from Carnage to Gordo? What was the thing? Did you just wake up one morning?
The pandemic.
Yeah.
The pandemic was a moment, I feel like, that was very important to a lot of people because around 2000, the pandemic happened in 2020, right? So around 2018, 19, the Carnage brand wasn't really doing as great as it was for such a long period of time. I'm very open to admit that the Carnage thing wasn't doing well because it took me a lot to be open with saying, yeah, I failed. Because, you know, I put myself, and I feel every artist, if you're doing this for the fun of it, then I'm not speaking to you. If you're doing this to live, then I'm speaking to you. Like, my life is this. There's no plan B. There's no plan C. There's no plan D. This is it. This is life, right? So, like, I can't fail. Like, you have to figure it out. Every single time, like if anything happens, if you don't get booked here, if you don't finish this song here, the song doesn't get signed here, it's okay because you're still alive, right? So you can figure out how to get on that or how to get this done or how to do this or how to do that. So when the Carnage thing kind of like wasn't doing well. It was the first time that in 7 years I even, it was a time when like I would do shows and like it wouldn't sell out. And then like it was like the first time I ever heard like one of my agents being like, all right, well, it didn't sell out. The promoter lost this amount of money. Like, we should toss him a little bit of your fee. I was like, the fuck does that mean? Like, I'm not paying him money. Like, he paid me already. Like, this is it. Like, I didn't know about that stuff. I was such at a Carnage was at from such a beginning, from the first year. I mean, it went from 0 to 100, and I had got into it at such a perfect time when EDM had just fucking taken off. I got after it already taken off, but I just made it on the ship before it fucking sailed. It went insane, And I think it's very interesting because I don't know if there'll ever be another moment as strong as that. I know there's some people in here probably way older than me that have seen electronic music go up and down, up and down. Obviously, I'm only 32 years old. So I've only seen it from this last 10 years that I've been in the scene, right? So but from what I've seen, it went from 0 to 100. And thank God, luckily, I made it into that, before it, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. Mm-hmm. But like, a lot of people don't understand how crazy, and it's funny because now I understand how old heads always are like, man, back in my day, like, it's like, I understand what they mean now. Like, yeah, it was lit back in my day. Like 2013, 2012, everything was exciting. Everything was new. Every DJ, like, you had DJs out there that were like, had one song on Beatport and they were getting paid $30,000 a show. Like, there was money being thrown right to left. Like, it was actually like, it was crazy, and obviously that helped put me on the map to where I was because everything was like magnifying glass, like it was really insane. Like, I ended up playing my first Coachella, 2015, like only like 2 years in, and had like a crazy slot time, and like played every festival. I was going to Asia and, like, first time going to Asia, you're getting paid $50,000. Like, that's insane. Like, that stuff like that was really insane. And I was talking to somebody earlier today because it's interesting because now when the bubble popped and everything went pretty shitty around the 2017, 18 era when everything was like, and then rap blew up, right? The funny thing was I already had my foot in the rap door when the rap music blew up because I was already, all my biggest songs, if you go back and look at all my biggest songs, are all rap songs. The biggest songs I have are rap songs, which are the biggest ones. And then obviously I still had a couple big EDM songs that were, like Toka with Timmy Trumpet. And, a couple of those songs, but the majority of my songs, all the biggest songs are rap songs. So it was crazy that I blew up in the EDM world with rap songs. Because at that time there was also the trap scene, which people kind of still go back to, like my songs Bricks and What Do You Want? And all those songs, and they like, categorize them as like EDM trap songs, but they're just rap songs, So going into the pandemic, I wasn't doing well. So it was the best time because right when the pandemic happened, everyone went back to zero. Mm-hmm. Everyone was at zero. No one was bigger than whoever. No one had more shows. No one was on bigger festival lineups. No one was on, everything was zero. And majority of DJs, majority of agents, majority of people in the industry saw the pandemic, kicked their feet up, and went to go kick it. How many DJs you saw started switching and streaming and doing live sets at home and like posting like shit like, oh, I've never, I get to like go grocery shopping today, like just normal people shit that DJs don't do because we're always on the road every day. And at that time I was like, okay, cool, it's studio time. And I locked in, and that was the moment where like I was like, okay, I gotta figure it out. We're all here now. Everyone's on zero. No one's playing shows. No one's playing shows because either it's interesting because we're in Amsterdam, which I always talk about. I always envy the people in Holland so much because everything is very like punctual. Everything is like from an early age you're taught. Be correct, which is a bad though because everyone's very judgmental. But everyone in Holland is very like punctual. So, like a lot of people were, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but like when it was the pandemic was happening, and there was a couple DJs doing like secret shows or secret sets here, and like they would get tarnished on the internet, like, oh my God, you're a plague rat DJ, like you shouldn't be out there, blah blah. So a lot of people are really like worried about how people are perceived on the internet. Like they're very like, you know, a lot of artists like don't want to tie up with other artists because they don't want to be seen with that type of artist. They're really worried about what other people think. I didn't give a flying fuck what they thought. So I was out there doing shows nonstop, and that's when the whole Gordo thing started, because I was doing like house sets and doing shit like, you know, doing like little parties here, doing little parties there. I remember at that time, I wasn't popping then. So people didn't really give a fuck what I was doing, really. Also, which helped at the same time, people didn't really care. Obviously, if there was like a popping artist that was like popular in 2017, 18, they would be the first ones to get posted. Oh my God, like, you know, this year, you know, blah, blah. But like when I was doing shit, people didn't really care. I wasn't like popular in America at that time.
And that's when that whole time is when you sort of reignited your love for house music, because you said that your aunts and
if you
were listening to house music back then, but that's when you really got time to kind of put your head down and sort of almost re-educate yourself on the genre, maybe.
No, in 2015, if you go to 2015, I released a song with Eric Murillo and Harry Romero and Mr. V. People don't know that. I released it on Ultra Records with Waxman. I did a song with Eric Murillo in 2015. Nobody, obviously some core fans know that, but a lot of people know that. I was doing house music. This isn't some shit that I just like was like, all right, I'm gonna get on the house wave. I've been doing it. I just never think about it. Like when the Carnage trap thing blew up, that was 2013, 2014. By 2014, 15, I was already releasing songs on Spinnin', house records. The first record that I ever got any love by any DJ was Tiesto, and I made it on Club Life in 2011, which was a progressive house record. Like, if you really go back to it, like, there's no cap in my rap. You can look it all up. It's all on the internet. That's why I'm so, like, vocal about shit, because, like, there's no reason to lie. There's no reason to lie if everything's on the internet. Internet's like our personal journal for life, bro. Like, you can show our kids that 100 years from now. You can show them a tweet from 2008, 100 years from now. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just, but like, I was doing house music. I've done house music all my life, but it was different types of house music. I was always at 128. That was always my speed. But, you know, so yes, but the thing was, when the pandemic happened, I was also very sick. And I was really overweight, and I was really sick. I went to Taiwan, and I was like, to the point I was so out of it, and I didn't know what to do with the Carnage thing. I was doing cooking. I was doing like eating vlogs, down bad. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to, like, obviously I'm eating at all these fireplaces all over the world. Like, let me like vlog myself eating, right? Which, like, I regret, because like I went to like a night market in Taiwan, and I ate this fried chicken. It was fire, but I got sick from that fried chicken, and I got an H. pylori infection. And I had an H. pylori infection. I had a hiatal hernia. I had esophagitis and gastritis all at the same time.
Oh my God.
Boom, my body gave the fuck out. This is like 8 years of like heavy drinking. Like, I wasn't, and like, I'm very adamant of like saying, like, I wasn't an alcoholic. It was just, I was playing at one time in 2015, I did 214 shows in 1 year. And like, I was going at it hard. And it wasn't like, because when I would go home, I had no problem like not looking at drinking. I didn't drink at all. I hated the taste of it. But if you out, you lit, you're at a party, you're at a show, you're at a popping shows. The Carnage shows back in the day were lit. So I was out there getting drunk every day at a show, every day. I would only drink at the shows. So like 8 years of doing that, my body was like, bro, you need to chill the fuck out. And I got really sick. So I was at home. I couldn't eat. I was just like chilling with me and my grandma, and like I couldn't eat. I got really just like, I was just like down bad. Like I lost, but because of all that, I lost like 150 pounds in a year and a half. And I just like, it was literally just like, I couldn't wake up and drink water because I'd get nauseous. Like, my stomach was fucked. So I couldn't eat. So I would just, all I had to do to like make me happy. And I don't play video games. So I wouldn't, like, I know a lot of DJs were like playing video games. Like I wasn't in the video game thing. I'd rather make music. So like I just sat there and just got to work, and I couldn't really do anything because I was sick at home, not doing anything. So I had to just like work, and the only thing that would like kind of keep me in like sane was like making music. And that's when like I was like slowed down. I didn't want to listen to loud music anymore. Like I wanted to like, I had more time to create. I never had time to be in the studio for that long. So I was just trying to figure out like what I wanted to do, and I just really got really into more evolving sound of what I do now.
And so it was, I mean, it seems like a pretty full-on gear change. I mean, musically, obviously, but also personally. How, you know, coming out of COVID and starting doing gigs as Gordo, what was those experiences like? Like, how was Gordo perceived?
It was not taken seriously. It was, you know, it was early enough where like it wasn't like the first thing people thought like, oh, he's just doing it because house music is popping. I started before that kind of thing happened.
Yeah,
which you know, but it wasn't taken that seriously. But because of that, I would go and play at these like after parties that I never really went to as Carnage. Like I would go to like these like very shady places, and like playing to a bunch of people who were just fucking cooked out. And like, but like that's like a place where you can really grab someone's attention, you know. And like, and I would play these shows and I would play these like sets, and people were like, "Yo, this is actually really like this is fire." So yeah, it was very in a world that I never knew existed, really.
How did you find the transition? Because house music, dance music, it can be cliquey. You know, there's some gatekeepers, and quite elitist. And how did you find that? Like, how did you work around that and navigate your way around those worlds and getting to know the right people and things like that?
The one thing that helped me out was that I, you know, automatically, like there's a different type, there's a couple different humans that I think of that really come into play at like a respect level, where like it doesn't matter where you're from, like people gotta respect you. Like I know, you know, I would see a lot of these guys, you know, these guys who are, you know, Maceo Plexes and, you know, the Carl Coxes and the Solomons and stuff like that. Like whenever they would see Diplo, like you gotta respect Diplo because the shit that he's done is like there'll never be another Diplo. And like, or you see like a Skrillex, you gotta respect them. A DJ Snake, you gotta respect them. Even you know, you see a Steve Aoki, you gotta respect him. Nobody does more shows than that motherfucking guy. He's a maniac. He's like a real legend. You know, there's legends, right? And that kind of benefited me going into that space, because you're talking about a world where now a lot of house and techno guys are making a lot of money, but for a long time they weren't making a lot of money. It was the EDM guy making a lot of money. So, you know, it didn't come into like a play where like I'm just like some guy that works at the bar who like does top 40 sets and he's just playing like Britney Spears and like some weird shit, and now he's trying to be like a house guy. Like you can tell when someone's capped, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like for me, it's like I come from a place where like I was already making a lot of money. I'm playing bigger shows than a lot of you guys, and my songs were bigger than a lot of you guys. I'm not coming in here like begging, asking for you for like give me a chance. No, like I'm doing this because I want to do this myself. And a lot of people knew me, you know, like back in the day, like whenever I would go and have a show, you know, and I'd be playing the main stage at an Ultra, when I would be done, I'd go to the house stage and go kick it with the Martinez brothers or go see Jamie Jones. Like I knew a lot of these guys, I would always show love from early age because I always fucked with the music. So like a lot of these people already fucked with me going into it. And for 2017 to 2019, 2020, I went into a period where I wasn't doing a lot of Carnage shows. So I would really just like go to these raves, like go out of my way and go and stay in Ibiza for 2-3 weeks at a time and just go kick it, get lit, go experience the culture and like really kick it. They would like, you could ask a lot of people, you could ask Michael Bibby, you could ask the Trucks, or you could ask a lot of these guys, like they would see me in Tulum, 11 in the morning at an after party, and I'm just kicking it, and they're like, the fuck is he doing here, bro? Like to the point, it got to the point where like a lot of people, they would see me, they'd be like, what do you do? And then it got to the point where like, of course you're here. Because I really was like, this is a world that I never knew existed. You know, like it's like, I hate that a lot of people in this world are not so open with this shit, because it's like, and that's the thing is I didn't grow up. My mom wasn't a DJ. My dad wasn't a DJ. I don't know what the fuck electronic music was until I was like 17 years old. So like I don't have something where like I want to come in, I'm representing my legacy, like my family, like my dad was like a famous DJ. Like no, like I have nothing to do that. So I have nothing to lose, being completely honest with you. You're not gonna affect what I'm gonna do tomorrow. Unless it's a positive way. So if I'm, afraid of like being open and shit, like bro, like we're like the EDM world for the last 7-8 years was a huge mega monopoly, corporate as fuck, right? So you never had, if there would be stories of like DJs getting too drunk at a party and like he'd be fucked, like everyone talking about it. Agents almost want to drop him from drinking alcohol. Then you come into this world and DJs are so fried they can't even open their eyes.
They're still DJing though.
Yeah, they're still DJing. But no one's like being like, oh my God, this guy, like, he's not gonna get booked again. No, it's part of the culture, right? It is part of the culture, which is crazy because it's like, that's how this shit became so popular back in the day. So it's like, so it's very interesting, and I'm a student at this. I love this. It's such an eye opener to come here and see all this stuff. So I'm just I want people to really like understand like what comes with this and the pros and the cons. But it's just a zany place. Zany.
It is a zany place.
Very zany.
So we've covered perception because, as we've just said before, like it can be all about perception. And you mentioned about certain people not wanting to play in certain lineups with people and things like that. And I love the fact that you don't give a shit. For anyone that kind of is an overthinker, it's very easy when you're an artist starting out and trying to navigate their way around who to play with and things like that. What advice would you give to someone, and how do you get into that mindset of not giving a shit what people think? Like, what advice could you give to someone who's an overthinker and just overthinks things too much? What would you say to them?
It depends. It depends on the type of person, right? Because like you're talking to a guy that like growing up, me being overweight, I got picked on my entire life, so I became so a defensive fucking wall where like you can't really say anything to me, or I'm just ready to fucking strike back. So you better be ready. There's people like me, and then there's people who like overthink because like they have like anxiety or like freak out, like they can't handle that, so they're introverts. There's introverts, there's extroverts, right? So it's like it's hard. Like it's easy for me to be like, just don't listen to people, like you're good, like it's easy for me to say that, but in reality a lot of people can't handle that type of lifestyle. Like if you want to be a world famous DJ, you want to be a world famous artist or producer, like you have to really know what the fuck you're getting yourself into. Like people are gonna talk shit about you every day. People are gonna say lies about you every day. People are gonna say your music sucks. People are gonna say it's not good enough. If you can't handle that, just figure something else out. Get another little job. You can still be a part of the music industry and not be a DJ or not be an artist. You can be in the background. You could do publishing. You could be a publicist. You could be there's so much things. Just figure out what you want to do, because it's not easy.
We were saying in the previous panel that this world is now a bit like the battle of the fittest. It's like 100%. You've got to be in top shape in terms of your mental health. And if you're traveling around the world DJing, you can't be drunk all the time because you've got to get on and off flights and be on your A game, on social media, making music. It's a circus. I think it's harder for new artists coming through now, isn't it? And I think if they've got that mindset of just don't give a shit, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
You touched a little bit on your upbringing, why you are, a wall, like you said. Obviously, your upbringing has a huge influence, on your life, and maybe your taste, but probably also your values. I'm interested in the work that you do outside of electronic music, and specifically the work that you did with setting up schools in various locations in Latin America. Can you tell us a little bit about that project and kind of how it came to mind? This is the pre-Gordo investment school.
Yeah, this is a school in Guatemala near Petén. There's a lot of schools. I mean, growing up in Guatemala, I really, you see real poverty, like actual real poverty. Like I had people working, like living at my house, which was a small, very, like I think the house I grew up in was like 1,200, like 1,300 square feet. I don't know what you guys use here in Europe, but it's really small. So like even then, if you're middle class or middle to lower class, you still have like people that work at your home, like, cleaners or like, or like people that work in the farm in the back and stuff. But I grew up around a lot of people. My aunt, he was a bus driver and also would pick up all these kids and take them to school. So in the morning she would make me, so like I would see her pick up these people from these like shack homes in Guatemala. I saw my first dead body when I was fucking 6-7 years old. Like I was like living out there is like a different fucking world, and I think a lot of people don't realize, like that's where I come from. Like I've seen some shit growing up, and it wasn't like some shit where like I'm like traumatized. It was some shit like, wow, like this is life. This is how, like, you should be grateful that you have a place to sleep. You should be grateful that you have I used to have a little boom box that my mom would send me cassettes from back home in America, and like I would listen. She's like, you should be happy that we have a computer at the house. You should be, you should be grateful that we have a car. Like a lot of people didn't, like, so I saw a lot of this stuff at an early age. So like me giving back and me building schools and stuff, like why the fuck shouldn't I?
This is, I think maybe yours works better. So here we go.
There we go.
So that's the start of the building process, and then everyone getting involved. And I think that's once the building's been done, we've got a nice video of the kids at the end, I think. Like, how important is it for you to kind of see these kids getting those opportunities?
It's awesome. It's like, It makes me feel so much better every day knowing that I'm doing this shit, because like it doesn't take that much to do this. And I think, like I don't really get upset at other artists that don't do stuff like that, but I definitely bring it up to a lot of them, because it's like there's too many people here making a lot of money, and like it doesn't take that much to go and help out. With all the schools built and the ones in Nicaragua, like we've schooled over 400, 500, 700, between like 300 to 700 kids, in each school. So it's just like a lot of people don't understand how important it is for a kid to go to school in these countries. Like them going to school means so much, and it's like it's just beautiful. I love it.
So do you think more artists, more DJs, more people with your kind of platform should work on work?
Hell yeah, but the issue is a lot of people don't. A lot of artists aren't. They're not exposed to this. They don't know what this is. They don't know what it is to have to wake up and have to take an hour bus drive to go to school. They don't know what real poverty is. They don't know how a lot of people. The thing is, though, a lot of them that do travel around the world, right? But a lot of people just don't. I've also been desensitized. So like I can go to a place, like a crazy market somewhere, and like kind of feel more at home, because I remember growing up and the grocery store, we wouldn't go to a grocery store, we would go to a street market and go and get raw meats and chickens and stuff that were cut up like at the market, and it smelled like ass, and it was just disgusting. And I was there from a young age and like seeing like just the nastiest shit you could think of, going to the normal night market in Guatemala City. Like it wasn't like I was living in a fucking tribe in the middle of Africa, but like Guatemala is still not that lovely. It's like Central America, the economy is really fucked up in a lot of these places. Majority in Central America. South America, they're big enough countries where they have like stronger economies. But like a lot of these places like Honduras, Salvador, is zany, crazy place, and a lot of people aren't grateful, so a lot of people don't know that, but there's a lot of people that should be doing way more. Like it's sad to see, but I think hopefully the more I do, it helps people get up and do something.
Is there music lessons going on in those schools yet?
These are like fundamental schools, like just like regular like English and like like spelling and like things like they don't even, a lot of these places I don't even think can have Wi-Fi there. These are like schools in like very, very rural places. But the bigger, the more schools I do, 100% I want to do that. But and that's the thing is, I think like a lot of artists, when you see an artist, you think like, oh, you should build a music school. Like, let's start from the base. Let's start from the beginning. Let's make sure these people have places that they can study. That first slide, that was like their main class, and like it was like holes all over it. So whenever it would rain, they would have to scoot over so it wasn't raining.
Right.
Like, let's just put some roofs over these people's head. Let's get them some food. Let's get them, a normal, like a good. They don't have chairs. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's that type of shit where like I think those people need it more than a school that already has a school and they don't have a music class. I think that's where I'd like to start, but 100% I'd want to build a music school eventually one day. Yeah.
Okay, should we talk about your party, Taraka? So you've been doing it in LA and London, and you're doing one in ADE.
Done Tarakas everywhere, a lot of places.
We've got some videos, haven't we? Oh,
we do.
Yeah, here we are.
So that's LA. Pretty, you have clearly having a good time. And then we got some that's in Medellin.
Yeah, at the Comuna 13.
That feels like a proper sort of block party vibe.
That is, if you, I don't know, a lot of people know, but in Colombia, in Medellin, there's this place called Comuna 13, which was the most dangerous favela. It's called a comuna, but it's a favela type place where it's like, everyone's on this, like, compiled over. But that basketball court, that basketball court is where Pablo Escobar, I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Pablo Escobar and his people would go and they would kill people to scare the entire neighborhood in front of everyone on that field. So I did Taraka there, it was lit. And that was kind of just like a party, and then also they gave us a pass to do this because we donated a bunch of books and backpacks and everything to the local school in that little neighborhood. Okay. So always trying to give back as much as possible, and it was more of a charity event, and did it for free, and that was kind of like one of the defining moments in Gordo for South America, because it was like no one's ever done something there and kind of had the balls to do it.
Does it hit differently? Does a party there hit differently than, say, the LA one that we showed earlier? That is clearly completely different production value.
150%. South America right now, I think, is going to be the new mecca for parties in the world. If you guys ever have time to go, definitely just go to a party down there and just kick it, because the food's amazing, the parties are insane, no one's worried about insurance and permits and fucking the only place where you'll go, and like if this was in South America, there'd be pyro going off right here. Like, they don't give a flying fuck. but it's also a little sketchy. But
I think that might scare the very professional production team of Cercle who are filming this event.
Phil from Cercle definitely got it. He definitely knows what's going on. But there's this place is definitely South America is, I think, gonna be the new Mecca, and they're so hungry and so exciting, and they love the music, and they're like, they don't. I think, which is the craziest thing, is that I had a conversation yesterday with Phil. We were talking it up, and I was basically saying that, like, in South America, the general consensus, like the general, like let's say if everyone here together, like if you would split everyone here in half, everyone either listens to electronic music or they listen to reggaeton. Like it's two things
exclusive
only.
Yeah,
it's those, like literally, like if you, that's, and like everyone kind of knows what's going on. So you go down there and like everyone either like listens to house or techno, or they listen to like some EDM, or they listen to reggaeton. It's only two things. But then you come to other countries, like Holland, or come to America or Germany, and there's 4 or 5 different things that you ask somebody what do they listen to, you don't know what the fuck they're gonna say. Mm-hmm. But if you go walk down the street somewhere in Buenos Aires, Argentina, you ask them, Boris Brashears, or like, yeah. Any person, or you go to Solomon, yeah. Marco Carolla, yeah. Martinez Brothers, yeah. Gordo, of course. So it's like, it's very, or they listen to Bad Bunny, or they listen to, they Fade, or they listen to Karol G. It's like kind of everyone, knows everything. It's pretty cool.
In the new Gordo era, how important is family to you, and it's being grounded?
It's amazing. That's why I live with my grandma. Yeah,
let's talk about that. She does your gardening, right?
She tries to. But we have a gardener at the house, but she makes her little smoothies every morning.
Oh.
So she goes and or she'll tell Biz or somebody at the house, like, oh, like I need you to go get oranges outside. I need you to get papaya. I need you to get me some bananas, or nonstop. But she tries, yeah.
What's it like living with her?
It's crazy because she's 90 now, and like as I said, I get reminded my grandma. If you ever seen my Letting People Go music video, I kind of did a video about my grandma, my mom, and my aunties, and basically how they fled Nicaragua. And my grandma's story's fucking insane. They left Nicaragua with my grandpa with like 5 kids. They're all like 5, 6, 7. And like my grandpa stole a plane, and they were all in the plane, and they went, and they were like trying to shoot down the plane. And I've heard this story a million times, so I know this like in the back of my head. Like every single time someone gets in trouble at the house or something, or everyone's drunk at a Christmas party, they like tell them like what they did. Like all right, I know you stole the plane, Grandpa. You're lit. Like you guys were 7 years old. You threw all your luggage out because the plane was too heavy. They couldn't make it over this mountain, so they threw all their clothes in bags. So they had no bags. Got discovered by the Red Cross in Honduras. Got help there, and then started the voyage up from Honduras all the way up to Mexico and crossed the border illegally and got granted asylum in McAllen, Texas, which funny enough was McAllen, Texas, this border town in Texas where it's like Mexico, America, and like, when you guys ever see those things about like the wall being built in America, like that, like fucking border town. And funny enough, McAllen, Texas became one of my biggest areas for Carnage, which is a place where DJs don't really give a fuck. Like it's not a place where like, if a DJ doesn't play McAllen, Texas, or El Paso, Texas, like it doesn't like hurt a lot of people because like they're not worried about it. But for me, and it's funny now, to this day now, like one of my biggest supporters in the world are Mexicans, and I'm not Mexican at all, but they just connect with me so heavy, and like I would go and do free shows there and stuff, even though like it wasn't like a place where I would get a lot of money from. I have this thing where like I really like to go and tie in with like such a unique group of people. Like living on a border is like crazy because like there's kidnappings every day, people are getting murdered every day, like it's crazy out there, so just like I don't know if y'all follow me on Instagram, I know a lot of y'all do, but I just did a show in Ecuador, and like Ecuador I went and did a show right now, and I have no thing to say, but like I really didn't get paid. I got paid basically $0 for that show right now. And I came from doing 2 shows in Chile. We did 8,000 people each night. Massive shows, like the biggest shows I've ever done in South America. Then the day after, I fly and go to Ecuador and do a show, and I play for, and we had a party. The party lasted 34 hours. This is last week.
Did you play 34 hours?
I played for 13 hours, and I walked 60,000 steps.
Wow. How do you keep going in a 13-hour set? Talk me through that.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
And like, so yeah, like I went out there and did a show for this in this little town, Montañita, Ecuador, and it's like the most insane group of human beings. Like they don't stop, they just party, they don't stop. And like I went there, I did a Taraka there, and I put like 7-8 DJs on there, and basically like paid for everyone's travel and everything, and like just went out there just because the people there is just so like it's such a crazy group of individuals, and there's always these little pockets all over the world where like the shows might not be 10,000 people, they might be 800, 500 people, but it's like amazing party, amazing energy, amazing appreciation of the culture. Like there's no dress code to go into this place in Ecuador. Mm-hmm. There's like the tickets are like $5, and like you can literally go. There's nothing in this town. There's nothing in this town. Not even a Starbucks. There's nothing, and literally there's just like this insane club, which I think it's like number 24 on DJ Mag. Wow. It's like legendary club. Everyone's played there in like this small little town, like people selling tamales on the street. Like it's like. And it's like you go there and like you're playing in this little town. It's so sick.
But people appreciate it more.
They appreciate it so much.
They're not spoilt for choice. When you go to a club in London, people have it just at the fingertips. And I find DJing in the UK, the further you go up the country, I'm from the top of England, the better the crowd is. No offence to anyone that's from London and here, but like I see it as a DJ, and the further you go up, it's because it's not readily available for people. So when you get there,
100%,
the vibe's electric and it's wicked.
It's literally the more crazier the place you're at, the more not as high end as it is, the better the crowds are, the better the parties are, the better the food is. You already know that. And it's like, in South America, it's been uncharted. A lot of DJs don't play in South America because I'm telling you right now, this is for real shit. A lot of DJs don't go to South America or will never go to South America because they're not getting paid. They're not making any money. So a lot of motherfuckers, a lot of teams, a lot of agents, a lot of people don't go to South America. I did my first South America tour as Gordo last October, a year ago. I got paid jack shit, and I was already getting good money. I already had my Vegas residency in America. I don't need to go to South America because I could fill those dates up in London. I could fill those dates up in Amsterdam. I could fill those dates up and get more money somewhere else. Mm. But I knew that at that moment I had to go and put that grind in and go show the people that I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the appreciation and because I love the culture so much. So I went out there and did the first show, let the first shows out there, and I didn't get any money, but they were lit. The shows were lit. 1,500 people, 2,000 people. If you could sell 2,000 tickets here in Amsterdam, everyone in Amsterdam's losing their mind. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to sell 2,000 tickets. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. Because you don't know what other parties, what other DJs in the city, what other thing. It's like there's so much bullshit in this. So you go out there in South America, you have no competition. You have no one else playing there. So you can go down there and they all listen to the same music we all listen to. Mm-hmm. So you go out there, put that grind. You either go down there and they fuck with you or they don't fuck with you. And then if they don't fuck with you, then you need to go somewhere else.
And you probably remember those gigs more, the ones that you weren't getting paid for because of the vibe, and they're the ones that stick in your memory more, right?
100%. So, South America's like, I'm telling you, I mean, look at Afterlife. Afterlife just went out there. Shouts out to Gigi and Mateo. Out there, they just went out there in Mexico. It did almost 70,000 tickets. Wow. Like, you can, like, if you, like, that's just, like, if you just look at the scale, like, you look at parties like, okay, what's going on with dance music? You don't see them doing 70,000 tickets in Europe. You don't. They might do 30. They go to Mexico, they go to Argentina, they did 4 nights, 20,000 tickets. Like, you're not seeing that appreciation of our music as much as it is in South America. Mm. So it's like, that's been my main focus. I want to focus on that, and honestly, if you look at my five top countries in the world, they're all in South America. You have Argentina, you have Colombia, you have Mexico, you have Chile, and I think you have Argentina again, which I've never seen that before, which is crazy. Argentina's in my top 5 twice, I swear to God. I swear. But then you got like DR, you got, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Yeah. You definitely got to go. I know you would love it. You would love it out there.
I would love it out there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thank you. Well, it's now time to go to you guys. Audience questions. Who would like to ask the first question? Yes.
I like it.
In the middle.
I like
this is always the hard bit, isn't
it?
Yeah.
The
first question.
The best looking glasses in the whole crowd as well.
Yes.
I was wondering what your team and what your bookings agent thinks when you want to do bookings in places where you don't make a lot of money.
They hate it. Yeah, I kind of have to explain to them at times. Like, I have to explain it to them. Like, all right, listen, trust me. I do a show here. It'll be like that. When I did that show in the like the Comuna 13 place in Medellin, they were definitely like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But because of that show, it's interesting because I did that show, and the show before then, which was that tour last October, that was my first time in Colombia doing a show. It didn't sell out of all the shows. It didn't do well. So the main promoter, one of the main promoters out there who was doing that stuff, kind of like, you know, if you're a promoter and you have 100 DJs playing your party a year, you can't really keep up with all the 100 DJs, really, right? So, I didn't sell well, so it wasn't like a thing where he's like, yo, we need Gordo back here immediately. This guy just sold out. Like, it wasn't like that, and that's just how life is, You have to crush it for them to call you back. But, when I did that show, no one's ever done that, and we had thousands of people show up. And I remember that day after that morning of when it was like everyone in Medellin was talking about, like, I'm gonna go see Gordo, I'm gonna dress, and it was like we had like over thousands of comments on it. Like my promoter was like, "Yo, man, why don't you do this with me, man? Like, what's up? Why you ain't rocking with us?" And it was like one of those moments where I was like, "Bro, I told you so." You gotta just trust in the vision. But a lot of people, and that's the thing, a lot of people get the vision and they're like, "Okay, I know what you're trying to do. I'm help with you." But there's a lot of people who kind of need helping to show them. You have to remind them and be like, "Okay, listen, this is why you should rock with me. Okay, you don't rock with me now, but give me a couple months. I'm gonna come back and look. I sold 500 tickets today. That means we can sell 1,000 tickets, right? So just trust me. Okay, I come back. He's not rocking with me still. Then cool. Look, I just dropped a new song. It went #1 on Beatport, and I just sold 1,000 tickets. Oh, this guy's selling tickets. Like, you got it. That's the thing, is you can't also expect everyone to like rock with you and get with you from the beginning. You have to actually give them something. You gotta make it easier for them to sell you. Make it easier for them. Mm-hmm. So my agents, I make it easier for them. They know what's up now. I mean, obviously now, but I had a couple bumps early in the time, but yeah.
Thank you for that question.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've got a few. We've got one at the back. Go there first. Who's got the mic?
Yeah, that's me. First, thank you so much for this talk. It was super inspiring. I only have one question. When is the album coming out? We've been waiting for a long time now.
Trust me, I've been waiting a long time too. I think we got Wax, but I think we got Ultra in the building too. Ultra, we're waiting for this. The people. The album is it's done, and just going through all the final stuff to get everything done. And I don't want to say, because I've already got used to this, where like I say something and they're just like, nah, it's not happening. But it's happening very, 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 very soon. Very soon.
Watch this space.
It's gonna be yeah.
Like Friday.
Yeah, right. It's dropping tonight. Yeah, we're gonna yeah.
Any minute now. Yeah, the countdown clock comes on.
Soon. I'm just waiting for the right moment, and I think definitely coming next couple of months for sure.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, I got another question at the back.
Hi. Hi, Gordo. Thank you so much for this talk. I'm Mexican.
Hey,
And
no
I'm.
manches.
Hola, hola, güey. My name is Daniela Morales. I'm a DJ, and I'm also owning a brand called Techno Tacos.
Okay.
Sadly, it was not so easy and still not so easy to develop the brand in Mexico. And I want to say that all of you were into the spot points with a lot of the situation in Latin America, in Mexico. I'm from Chiapas, so I'm very close to where you are. So I know the situation, how hard it is to establish a brand, the parties and all, because there is a lot of delinquency behind. And it's a sad thing. It's a really sad thing. And I appreciate that you come with this talk today to show up. Okay, we can also move out of that situation and represent the community of artists that we also come from there, that we don't represent El Chapo. Yeah, because it's sad. For some people, it's funny, but when you say, oh, Mexico, yeah, tacos, techno, this, El Chapo, and narcos, I'm like, guys, we have so much rich culture behind that you have no idea. Everyone goes to Tulum, and they pay €1,000, dollars to expensive hotels, everything, but they don't know what's the production behind and the investment and the security you have to pay in order to reach to do that.
Yeah, there's so much like the politics of throwing a party in Tulum. Y'all have no idea.
No idea.
Like how insane that really is. I mean, Cercle is actually one of the perfect people to talk about this because they do shows in the most insane places, and dealing with that type of stuff, like isn't that easy, and you should be more appreciative of what's going on, especially in places that like don't have infrastructure, like normal thing. Like imagine trying to throw a festival for 15,000 people in the middle of the jungle. Where do you start? It's like it's insane. But I think there's so many places in Mexico and so many little towns and cities that aren't like a major city, a major metropolitan city that it's special.
Okay, so I just wanted to go back to it. What will you say after knowing your background? And I am empathizing with our background without making anyone else different, but I recognize what you've been through to reach where you are. And what would you say to us, like Latin American artists, and music producers, DJs, or someone like me trying to build up this brand? But when you come with this background, like somehow, and like women, so it's also difficult. It's still in Mexico. It's still not so much respect. Yeah, to be a woman trying to buy this. So, what would you say just to encourage us and to like key points to just keep going forward and like not dropping up the business and the idea and the mindset to keep holding on?
If I can do it, you can do it. Literally. I mean, it's kind of just the most. There isn't really anything else for me to say. Like, go to work, do your things. But it's a battle we're facing. There isn't. We're in a world where a majority of people are white. We're in an industry, in this dance world, in the electronic world, majority of people in power, majority of famous DJs, majority of the most important artists are men or they're white also. So it's kind of like, think about how many black DJs you guys could all name that are popping. Probably can count them in your hands. How many white DJs that are out there popping? You need a couple hands or this whole room. And I think people don't realize that, because I faced that with Carnage growing up. I was the only black guy really playing at all these major festivals. I was the only black guy wearing chains, and because of that, I deal with the stigma also because I'm black and because I'm, I have a bunch of girls on stage shaking their asses. Because of that, I'm seen as like, either it could be ratchet or ghetto, or, it doesn't seem as respectable as another artist. I'm sorry, but I don't come from that. I come from growing up, my idols were rappers. Lil Wayne was a legend to me. 50 Cent was a legend to me. I come from a different world. And I think just because I come from a different world, you shouldn't look at me differently. And I think that's the issue, even people that are close to me still have that issue of perceivement, of how I'm perceived. Yes, I'm black. Yes, I like hanging around with a bunch of beautiful women. Yes, I like getting lit. Yes, I curse. But does that make my music lesser than yours? Does that make my art lesser than yours? It doesn't. So just because I have a different outlook doesn't make me better or less than you. We're all equal. And I think that's a big issue that people deal with, especially if you have a guy that's coming up and that wants to be a famous DJ and he wants to give a talk, or she's coming from Chiapas and she's from Mexico, doesn't mean she's less professional than you are, because that you speak better or that you're dressed better. The fuck does that mean?
Yeah, who's to say that that's actually the case though?
It's a thing, and people we deal with that. I think a lot of people that are not a minority, that are not a colored, a majority of those people, you guys don't have no idea how it feels to go on the plane every day, even at my level, and I get on the fucking plane and I walk up because I'm in first class. I work my ass off. I'm on a plane every day. I'm gonna fly comfy. I'm gonna go first class. And I walk up to the line, and the guy in front of me in a full fucking suit, the lady goes, "Okay, cool, let me get your ticket." I walk up, she goes, "First class?" That's the shit y'all motherfuckers don't know about. And that's the shit I deal with every day. So like, that's the type of shit that, yeah, when motherfuckers judge me because of how I am and how I act and how I dress, yeah, that shit does piss me off, because motherfuckers don't know what the fuck I went through. They don't know what I go through every day because of my skin color. Because my family, we have to send money through MoneyGram. I have to send my grandpa money through a fucking service because he doesn't have regular bank. I don't know how many people in here have to do that, and probably not a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna do me, and I think that's the only thing I could tell you is just be yourself, because we're facing a battle. House and techno was created by the black and gay community in America. How many black and gay people are there right now running shit? None. Basically to none. So all I could do is represent us, really. And I think that's the most vital thing with me, is that I need to stay true to myself. I'm not going to come up here in a suit because I'm at Cercle right now, we at the W, and I'm gonna come talk to correct with you and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm gonna stay true to myself. That's the best thing I could do to inspire anyone else, or inspire anyone else coming from my position. Really, is be myself. And because at the end of the day, when I'm asking you, even if this is the only time we ever talk to any of you, I bet any dollar in my motherfucking bank account, you will never meet a motherfucker like me ever again in your life. And that's all I can say.
Yes, give it up for Gordo. Thank you. Any more questions? We've got 2.5 minutes to be really fast. Yeah, go. Yeah. Go down here. Oh, hang on. Okay, sorry. Over there.
Yeah. So this is actually more of a... So I'm Central American, and I just want to basically say that, I want to say to the people from Nicaragua and Guatemala that we take a lot of pride in like what you do. Myself, I'm an artist manager. I would never think that I would be here in Amsterdam for one of my artists that's playing a show this week. And everything that you've done personally, being from Nicaragua, I truly thank you. I love seeing that. It's something that I'm trying to do myself as well. I don't really know any other Central American manager, and it's something very prideful being Latino. When I travel a lot here and there as well, I do notice that a lot of people look at me because I dress my way. I don't want to dress the standard, the suits and stuff like that. I grew up a specific way, and I just want to say that sos la verga, man. Sos la verga. And I've been seeing you play for years as Carnage, Gordo, and it's never boring. Just keep doing it, como siempre, representando.
Gracias, hermano.
Y, ¿cuándo vamos a comer Pinolandia?
Oh, I'm ready, bro. If there was a Nicaraguan spot here, we'd go right now. For sure.
Con el queso frito.
Thank you for that. Guys, please give it up for Gordo.
Thank you so much, man.
Finished on time.
pleasure, man.
Thank you, boss. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's really nice to.
Whoa.